Mum, they're going to be back soon.
I know, darling, and we must remember they've been very, very good to us. We must remember the good. We've got enough with the bad and the ugly across the road.
Well, I don't want to go to a hotel.
No, neither do I, but it's not my fault, is it? Blame your dad.
What are we going to do?
I don't know. What are we going to do? I've had long enough to think about it, haven't I? I've just got to decide what to do. It's my turn now.
Right, better be off then. It was a lovely meal. I really did enjoy the evening.
You did, yeah.
Taxi's waiting.
It wasn't bad, was it? Probably better if I don't drive.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry.
I'm glad you came.
I mean, it's over, Cher, isn't it? I just got to face up to it. I mean, we keep coming back together again. I keep smiling, pretending everything's all right. We keep trying all over again. It should have happened years ago. But your dad's done it, hasn't he? 18 years down the drain.
Look, Mum, why don't you go to bed?
You don't seem to understand, do you, darling? I know you feel like Piggy in the middle, but you've got a future ahead of you. I ain't. All I've got is a past. Well, he's going to pay.
But they're going to be back in a minute.
Well, old Pete, he ain't got a clue, baby. He's got a woman and a half in Kathy, and he ain't got a clue. He's like all men. They're all the same. My marriage, wiped out with a little piece of paper. Well, your dad better be ready to finish what he started, darling. He wants a fight, he's gonna get one. He wants a divorce, well, so do I. I want one more than him. I'm gonna take your darling daddy to the cleaners, babe, and then I'm gonna cut him up into tiny little pieces. Can you imagine it in court, eh, Cher? Tell me, Mrs. Watts, was your old man ever cruel to you? Was he ever? I'm gonna make him pay for every single day of every single one of those 18 wasted years. You're his mate. You can tell him. You can tell him tomorrow. You can tell him I'm gonna take him, pal, for everything between that and that. I want his blood!
That mean you don't want the Vindaloo, then?
On BBC2 shortly, Cary Grant stars as an eligible bachelor doctor who becomes the object of a shop assistant's desires, whose firm belief is that every girl should be married. Here on BBC1 in a moment, we've Match of the Day live.
There is now a danger that has become a threat to us all. It is a deadly disease and there is no known cure. The virus can be passed during sexual intercourse with an infected person. Anyone can get it, man or woman. So far, it's been confined to small groups, but it's spreading. So protect yourself. And read this leaflet when it arrives. If you ignore AIDS, it could be the death of you. So don't die of ignorance.
That was a public information film. And now on BBC One, Luton Town play Liverpool as we join Jimmy Hill for Match of the Day Live.
Good afternoon and welcome to Match of the Day Live for the third round FA Cup tie between Luton Town and the cup holders Liverpool. And I could say you've never seen anything like it before, because apart from the Liverpool hierarchy and their close friends, there are no declared Liverpool supporters in the ground. Although the other clubs have backed Luton's experiment for league matches, they were against it for sudden death competitions, and today might well prove their fears to be unfounded if Liverpool win, or stoke them up should they lose. Further intrigue is added to the fixture because Liverpool, declared opponents to artificial surfaces for top-class matches, have already been beaten at Kenilworth Road in a Today League game by 4-1. I'll say that again, Luton 4, Liverpool 1. And those of you who think we see too much of Liverpool on television will be rooting for Luton. And I wonder whether they will outnumber those who support England's most successful club. News from this morning's FA Cup tie between Telford United and Leeds United is that Leeds came through by 2-1. The winning goal scored by Ian Baird just 5 minutes from time. 6,500 saw the game at the Hawthorns, no trouble reported. And we shall also keep you up to date with the running score of the Crystal Palace-Nottingham Forest Cup tie from Selhurst Park. David Davis, our reporter there. With me is Trevor Brooking. Take your pick, Trevor, Luton or Liverpool?
Well, my only confident prediction is the fact that it won't be 4-1 to Luton. It's a very, very difficult match for Liverpool. They certainly won't relish the prospect of playing there. And I would have said Luton, only 6 goals conceded, 1 home defeat. They will know that they've got to win today because they won't relish a replay. So Liverpool probably will try and keep it tight. I think I'm going to go for a low-scoring draw, Jim, and they'll have to go to Anfield.
Yeah. Do you see Liverpool being as dangerous as everybody suggests once somebody's hurt at the moment? Have they still got that kind of venomous reprisal, as it were, when they've been done down?
Well, the main problem has been scoring goals in the last few weeks, and that's why they've gone out and signed John Aldridge, because I've seen them at Nottingham Forest when they just got a late equaliser 1-0, and then they lost at Watford 2-0, and they haven't been creating the chances, let alone putting them away. And certainly I think it's only 3 goals in about the last 6 games, so that's going to be one of the problems they've got to overcome today.
Well, let's go and look at now the atmosphere at Kenilworth Road and see what John Motson thinks about it.
Well, the first thing to tell you, Jimmy, is we're in the middle of a snowstorm. It started about 5 minutes ago, and those loyal Luton supporters about to welcome their team onto the field here at Kenilworth Road are in for a very cold afternoon. And here comes Steve Foster to a great ovation. Always a nice moment when the home team runs out for a cup tie. And remember that Luton were banned from the Littlewoods competition, so this is their first cup tie of the season. And having beaten Liverpool here in the league so convincingly, they're pleased to announce their strongest team for several weeks. Ashley Grimes has switched to left-back because into midfield come number 7 Ricky Hill and number 11 David Priest, who have missed the last 10 and 11 matches respectively with knee injuries. Now at number 10, Mick Harford passed a late fitness test, but there's still a little bit of doubt about his knees, so don't forget there are 2 substitutes in the FA Cup this season. That's a new procedure this year, and number 14, Mark Steen, may have to be called into service. As for Liverpool, who would normally have been welcomed onto the pitch by some 8,000 supporters, but there was a silence mixed with a few raucous shouts from Luton fans as Liverpool ran out. They are fielding 8 of the team that won the FA Cup at Wembley and completed the double last May. You'll notice that manager Kenny Dalglish has left himself right out of the 13 names, and one of the substitutes is 24 years old Alan Irvine, signed from Falkirk recently for £100,000. So John Aldridge is not the first striker to be signed by Liverpool this season, although it will be interesting in view of Oxford's FA Cup defeat yesterday at Aldershot as to whether he is released earlier as a result of the amicable negotiations between the two chairmen of the clubs. Now, since our cameras were at Kenilworth Road, there have been structural changes on 3 sides of the ground. That's the Kenilworth Road end, a new roof there. That's where the visiting fans used to stand. On the far side of the ground, some fresh chalet-style executive boxes where you can sit either inside or outside, although today it's brave of those people to sit outside, I must say. Sign of football in the future there, perhaps, in terms of the boxes anyway, and the pitch. And at the far end, that's where the home fans used to stand at the Oak Road enclosure, and now that's an all-seated family enclosure. And the cost of those 3 developments to Luton Town, £1.3 million. Well, Jimmy Hill mentioned the 4-1 victory that Liverpool had, or Luton had over Liverpool earlier this season here, and Mike Newell, who is a Merseysider and was on Liverpool's books, in fact scored a hat-trick that day, and we'll be looking for some sort of performance again this afternoon. The referee this afternoon is Alan Gunn from Burgess Hill in Sussex. He was a cup final linesman at Wembley when Liverpool beat Everton last May, and his 2 linesmen there with the captains, Paul Alcott from Red Hill and Mickey Pearce from Portsmouth. But difficult conditions, Bobby Charlton, and I'm sure the pitch, the situation over the supporters and other factors make this, even for you, an unusual situation.
That's right, John. I was just thinking how familiar this should be for Luton to play at home, and especially seeing that the away side have no support. But having said that, we've had a brief snowstorm, and it's, I think, even a little unfamiliar for the Luton players that they're going to have to play on a bit more of a skiddy surface than they used to. But Liverpool haven't won all the trophies that they've won over this last few years without preparing themselves properly, and I've no doubt that they're still very much in the league hunt. They're still very much in the FA Cup. And although they had that 4-1 deficit earlier on in the season, they were playing for 3 points then, and there were no replays. If they can sit back and just be a little bit more patient, I'm sure that the result will be different this time. Sympathy for all the Liverpool fans that are not here, but I still think there's going to be a great atmosphere, and I'm sure that the team will perform well for you, even though you're having to sit at home instead of here in the cold.
Yes, the artificial carpet already covered in snow, and Alan Gunn has already changed the ball so that the brighter coloured orange ball can be used. Luton Town, maybe not familiar to those of you in other parts of the country, white shirts, black shorts. You'll get to know their players as the tie develops. They're playing from right to left in the first half, and Big Mick Harford, having passed his fitness test, gets an early touch. That was Rob Johnson, and then Alan Hansen for Liverpool.